Hi everybody, this is Crystal. So today I'm going to show you how to make this baby blanket here. Now it measures approximately right at 32 by 32, so it's a square baby blanket. It's made with 9 granny squares. As you can see, I'll go over the yarn I used in just a minute. It's actually rather easy to do, as long it's pretty much just all double crochet, front post double crochet, and single crochet. If you can do those stitches, you'll be able to make this blanket. I'll show you how to sew it up and everything. But yeah, I think it turned out really cool. I like it. Evelyn's gonna like it. So let's go ahead and get started on this. Okay, for this project, I am using Lionbrand's Sesame Street One Hat Wonder. They have these on their website, 4 of these little characters. So I'm using all 4, Big Bird, Oscar, Cookie Monster, and Elmo. So you'll need 1 of each of them. They are a medium weight, number 4, polyester, 95 yards. So you'll need 1 of each of those, which will make 4 of the squares. And then I'm using Lionbrand Basic Stitch Anti-Peeling, which is a medium weight number 4, also 100% anti-peeling acrylic. You don't have to use this yarn. Any yarn will work. There's 85 yards per skein, and to make the 5 solid color blocks to go with the blanket. And I'm using this also to sew it together. You're going to need a total of 3 skeins of this. So close to 600 yards, not quite, but pretty close to that. So as you can see, what we're doing is we are making squares. We're going to need 9 total, 4 of the colored Sesame Street characters, and I chose to make 5 white, and you know whatever color you want to use, but medium weight 4 yarn. And then we will sew them together. So every square is made the exact same way. I made these squares the exact same way as I made the white squares, so they all look the same. So I'll go ahead and show you how. You're also going to need a size J, which is a 6mm crochet hook. Okay, I'll show you how to start off. Remember, every square is the same, so even when you make your solid colored ones, you make them the same, as I'm getting ready to show you now. If you're using these Sesame Street characters, you need to take the head off first, set it to the side, and then you find your center, probably with a lot of yarn barf coming out. Blech. Yep. Okay, here it is. Okay, as always, we're going to start out with a slip knot on our hook, and if you prefer to use the magic circle here, that would be fine too. What we're going to do is chain 3, and then we're going to slip stitch into the first stitch to form a ring. And now I'm going to work a chain of 3. Now that chain of 3 is going to count as a double crochet here and for the rest of the square pattern. Now I'm going to work 2 more double crochets through the center of the ring. So counting that chain 3, we'll have a total of 3 double crochets there. Now we're going to work a chain of 2. And that's going to form the chain 2 is going to be the corner of one corner of our square. Now we're going to work back in the center of the ring again, and we're going to work 3 double crochets. So there's 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to chain 2 again, which will be another corner. Sometimes I gotta slide my work over as I go to make room. 3 more doubles again. 1, 2, 3, chain 2. So now we have 3 sets of 3 doubles. We're going to do it one more time. 3 double crochets back into the ring. 1, 2, and 3. Now I'm not going to chain 2 to end. You can pull that tail there and that'll close up that center circle. This is how I end my rounds. I don't chain 2 and slip stitch. What I'm going to do is do a half double crochet into the beginning chain 3. So I'm going to yarn over. Remember, I did no chains after these last 3 double crochets. Yarn over for a half double crochet, go into the top of that chain 3, and then just work a half double crochet. And that's going to act as your chain 2 space. And what it does, it brings you right in the center here, so you don't have to do any slip stitching over to get to the spot that you need. So we're going to start off again with a chain of 3. 1, 2, 3. And that's going to count as our double crochet. And now we're going to work right back into the chain 2 space and work 1 double crochet. Like that. Now the next stitch, we're going to work a front post double crochet. So that's actually, we're going to be working around this chain 3 right here. So we're going to yarn over and we're going to do a front post double crochet. Next stitch, we'll do a double, just a regular double crochet. Next stitch, front post double crochet. Like that. And now we're out at our chain 2 space. Chain 2 space has always worked the same. It's going to get 2 double crochets. 1 and 2, and then we're going to chain 2, and then we're going to work 2 more double crochets. There we go. So there you got your corner again made. And then we're going to kind of repeat what we just did. So we're going to front post double crochet into the next stitch, double crochet into the next, front post double into the next, and we would keep repeating that until we got to our chain 2 space. And here we are at it. So we're going to work through the chain 2 space, and we're going to work double crochet, another double crochet, so 2 double crochets. We're going to chain 2 and then 2 more double crochets all into that chain space. So there we have another corner made. 2 doubles, chain 2, 2 doubles. Now we're going to start again. Front post double crochet around the next stitch. Regular double crochet into the top of the next. Front post double crochet around the next. And now we're at our chain 2 space. So we're going to go ahead and go into it and work 2 double crochets. A chain of 2 and 2 double crochets, and there we have our third corner made. And again, we're going to start off again, front post double crochet into the next, regular double into the next, front post double into the next, and now you can see we're at our chain 2 space. Well, when we started the round, we did a chain 3 and a double crochet into that space, so half of it is already finished. So what we need to do is go back into the space and work 2 double crochets. This is how we end every round. So now we have 4, because we started by putting 2 in there and we ended by putting 2. So now we're going to end the round by half double crocheting into the top of the first or the beginning chain 3. Half double right in there, just like that. And that, by doing that, it brings you into the center there. So like I said, so there's no slip stitching. At the end of round 2, you'll have a total of 28 stitches, and then we'll start round 3. You'll always have 16 more stitches than you did the previous round. So round 1 we had 12, round 2 we now have 28. So we're going to do round 4, which is basically the same as we're going to do round 3, which is basically the same as round 2. We're going to chain 3, which counts as our first double crochet. Go back into this space and do 1 double crochet. So what we just did there, remember, is half of this corner, and we'll finish up the other half at the end. So we'll start by working a front post double crochet into the next stitch, and then regular double into the next, and we repeat this front post double, regular double, front post double, regular double, all the way until we get to our next chain 2 space. So I'll do front post double in the next. What it's doing is our post will always be lined up, and then a regular double, front post double, and a regular double, and your last stitch before the chain 2 space will always be a front post double crochet. And then when you get to your chain 2 space, you'll always work the same thing, 2 double crochets. There's 1 and 2, and then we'll chain 2, go back in and work 2 more double crochets, just like that. And now we'll repeat. Your first stitch after your chain, or your corner here, will always be a front post double crochet. So you start with a front post double and a regular double, front post double, and a regular double, front post, and a regular. And my last one is going to be a front post double. We're at our chain 2 space. We work 2 doubles, chain 2, and 2 more doubles. And then we're going to repeat it again all the way around until we get back here to where we started. Front post double, regular double, front post, regular. Remember, your front post doubles are going to line up. You always know you're putting it in the right spot because they'll start to line up. I know this yarn's a little busy, but you definitely wouldn't be able to see that white yarn on my white background. So just kind of repeat the front post double crochet, regular double crochet, front post double crochet, regular double crochet until you get to this corner. And when you get here, you do your 2 doubles, chain 2, 2 doubles, and then you start again with the front post double crochet, regular double crochet, repeat, and I'll meet you back here at the end of the round. Alright, I have made it to the end here of round 3, and my last stitch there was the front post double crochet, and I'm at this corner. Now remember how we always end every round. We already have half of the corner done from where we started with the 2 double crochets. So we need to go back into that chain 2 space and finish it by putting the other 2 double crochets that go into the corner. And then we end the round by half double crocheting into the top of that chain 3. Just like that. And then we start again. So it's just a repeat of row 3. It just keeps getting bigger. You should have a total of 44 stitches now. Every round will have, like I said, 16 more stitches than the previous round. So you want to go ahead and keep repeating round 3 until you get a total. You've completed 7 rounds, and then I'll meet back up with you. And then the last 2 rounds will be different. So I'm going to continue. I'm going to start round 4 by chaining 3. I'm just going to do the same thing I did for round 3 for round 4. The only difference is I'm going to have 16 more stitches than I did the previous round. So I'm going to finish out round 7 just like this, and then I'll meet back up with you. Okay, so I'm coming to the end of round 7. If your work is flipping up like this, it's okay. Don't worry about that. That's just due to the post stitches. We'll get that fixed. So I'm going to go ahead and end round 7 like we ended all the other rounds. I'm going to put 2 double crochets here in this last chain space. and half double crochet into the beginning chain 3. That'll end around 7, and you should have 108 stitches now. All right, now rounds 8 and 9 are going to be the final rounds, and they're done the exact same way. So round 8, we start out by chaining 3 and working a double crochet right back into the chain space, just like we did before. Now what we're going to do is just do straight 1 double crochet in every stitch until we get to our next chain 2 space. We won't be doing any more post stitches. So you want to make sure you go into this chain 3 here, the first chain 3, go right into the top of it and double crochet. And then the next stitch, it looks a little stretched, but you got to make sure you get that one too, otherwise your count will be off. And then you just work across, putting 1 double crochet in every stitch until you get to your next chain 2 space. Okay, I've made it to my first chain 2 space. Now we're going to do the same thing that we've always done here, is work 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 more double crochets, and then we will continue working 1 double crochet in every stitch across. Always remember to kind of pull this back and get this first stitch, because sometimes it hides underneath those corner stitches. So 1 double in every stitch until we get to our next chain 2 space, and then in the chain 2 space it's 2 doubles, chain 2, 2 doubles, and then you continue the 1 double crochet in every stitch, and you want to work this until you get back to your starting point. So now it's just rounds of double crochet, no post stitches. That's kind of what it starts to look like. Okay, I'm coming to the end of round 8, and we're going to end it just as we did all the other rounds. So 2 double crochets into the last chain 2 space. Oops, sorry about that. Drop that one. It happens. So there's 2 doubles there. And then we end by a half double crocheting into our beginning chain 3. That'll end round 8, 16 more stitches than you had before. Now round 9 is just a repeat of round 8. So it's just the double crochet round again. So chain 3 for round 9. This is the final round. Go right back into the same spot and double crochet. And remember, you got to go into the chain space and double, or the chain 3 space and double crochet. And this stitch right here, it gets hidden. You got to make sure you get him. He gets really tiny and stretched, but there we go. And now we continue working 1 double crochet, just like we did before, in every stitch, and 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets in each of the corners. And I will repeat this until I get back around to my starting point. Okay, I've made it to the end of round 9. This is our last and final round. I put my 2 double crochets there into that last chain 2 space, and I'm going to end like always, a half double crochet into the beginning chain 3, and then clip your yarn, tie off. There we go. It's finished. Now, if you're if you're the type to block your work, maybe you want to block your squares before you add the heads on them and before you sew them together. That's up to you. I do not block my work. If you don't know what blocking is, there's YouTube videos on it. But anyways, so I have 4 of the Sesame Streets and then 5 of my solids, so 9 total squares, all done the same. So even if you don't have these Sesame Streets, you could still do these squares and, you know, whatever colors you want. But I'm going to go ahead. Now, I don't really know how to do this, like the correct way. I'll just kind of I think you just do it however you can do it. So what I'm going to do is go through the center, and I'm going to grab these 2 loops that's on Big Bird and pull them through like that. And then I'm going to go, well, you can do this any way, I guess, to make your head stay on. Go back, wait a minute. I'm going to wrap these around my hook, and I'm going to pull them back through a little bit away from that hole. Oh my gosh, I gotta go from this side. It's difficult. It's difficult. I'm gonna go in the side here and then pull them, those black things, back through. Then I think I'm gonna pull his head through like that. Now I'm gonna take and pull my black string through again one more time. I don't know really what to do, but now he's pulled tight. Now I'm going to take it and tie it on the back with my tail that I had at the beginning. Tie it really tight, as tight as I can get it. That's how I do it, but you can do it any way you want. I don't know if this is correct, but I'm winging it. But I'm going to tie it in a few knots, and then what I'll do is take my yarn needle and weave in these tails, and then I'm going to use fabric glue and kind of glue around. Make sure you get fabric glue. I had to order mine. I don't have it here yet. Off Amazon, I ordered mine. Make sure you get fabric glue that is can be put in a washing machine, you know. But once my fabric glue comes, I'll just put a couple little dollops here and here, you know, and press his head down until he holds, and that way he won't be flopping around. That's what I'm going to do. So that's that. If I don't know if that's correct, but that's the way I did it. So now let's sew it together. What do you say? Hopefully I don't have a lot of room, but I'll show you what I got so far. Now you can I'll show you how I laid mine out to be sewn together. So I have, let me step back and show you. So I have white, Elmo, white, Oscar, white, Grover, and then I'll put Big Bird here, and then white and white. That's how I'm going to sew mine together. Let me get my other 2 whites. There we go. So it'll look something like that, of course, and I'm going to go around it with some single crochet. So that's how mine's going to be sewn together with the 4 Sesame Streets. So let's go ahead and get to how we sew it together. So let me move some of this stuff so I can set my camera back down. Okay. Now, people sew squares together differently. There are many ways you can do it. You can single crochet squares together. You can use fancy stitches to crochet them together. You can use a yarn needle and a piece of yarn to sew them together. I'm going to slip stitch mine together. And as you can see, I have started just so I can show you. Now I slip stitch mine in a manner of where I only go through 1 loop of each piece, and that creates the divot here that you see on the front, just to add a decoration. That's what I usually do when I sew my squares together. It's not anything necessary, but I think it just adds something to it. So I have those 3 sewn together. Now I'm gonna sew my other ones together. Oh, it's such a mess here. So I need, when you sew them like that, you need to make sure that you're sewing them wrong side. So Oscar here is facing up. So you need to take your white square or whatever color you have and put the wrong side facing down. And this white square is facing up, and then I'm going to take my Big Bird and face him down, wrong side. And now, oh gosh, gracious, Grover is facing up, and I'm going to take my last white square and face it down like that. Okay, so the reason why we sew it together like that is so when we flip it open, the right sides will be facing and the seam of the slip stitch will be on the back of the blanket. So go ahead, and I'm going to use my white yarn that I use as my main color to slip stitch it together, and my crochet hook. So I'm going to go ahead and start in the corner here of my first 2 squares. I'm going to go through the chain 1 space of the corner of the first square, and the same chain 1 space the corner of the square back here. Go in. I'm going to chain 1. Now I'm going to slip stitch all the way across, but I'm only going to be going through 1 loop on each piece. So I'm going to go to the next stitch right here. I'm going to go into, you see how the loop, each stitch has 2 loops. The one closest to you is the front loop, the one furthest away is the back loop. On this piece, I'm only going through the front loop, and then on the exact same stitch on your other piece, I'm going to only go through the back loop. And then I will slip stitch that together. You want to make sure you keep your stitches aligned, because there are the exact same number of stitches on every square. That way your piece won't be crooked when you sew it together. So I'm going to go to the next stitch, and I'm going to go through the front loop of the next stitch, and then this piece back here, I'm going to go the back loop only of that piece and slip stitch. And this is what I'm going to do all the way across. Front loop. I'm going to go to the next piece and back loop only and slip stitch. But by all means, if you want to, if you know a different way to sew your squares together, you do it. However, as long as they're sewn together, I think that's all that matters. However you do it. Sometimes I use a yarn needle. Front loop. Back loop, front loop, back loop. I'm going to do this until my piece, these 2 squares are sewn together. Front loop, back loop, front loop, back loop. Stop for a second. Now when you flip it inside out, you can see how nice that divot looks there, or that little ridge. This gives a little extra something. But if you would prefer to go through both loops, same thing, still getting sewed together, that's completely up to you. So I'm going to continue sewing up this square here in the same manner that I've been doing. Front loop on this piece, back loop on the next. Okay, I'm coming to the end of these 2 squares being sewn up. So I have 1 stitch that remains on each piece. They should be exact. You should have the exact same number remaining on each piece. So I'm going to go through the front loop on this one and the back loop on this one. And now I have the chain 2 space. So I'm going to go through 1 stitch on the chain 2 space on this piece, and then 1 stitch of the chain 2 space on this piece and slip stitch. Now I'm just going to continue by starting my next 2 pieces. I'm not going to clip my yarn and sew this one separate. Some people do that. They sew just 2 squares at a time. That's fine if you want to do that. I like to go across, just keep going across until they're all sewed together. But like I said, if you want to do it the other way, that's fine too. So I would just start the same. I'd go through first chain space on this piece, first chain space on this piece, and get my yarn that I'm using and pull it tight and slip stitch it. There we go. And now I'm going to continue doing it the same way. First stitch on this piece, back stitch on this piece, slip stitch. And I'm going to do this all the way across this square. and then I will do it all the way across at the last square. Okay, I've made it to the end and I'm at my chain 2 spaces. I'm going to go through 1 stitch on the chain 2 space here, 1 stitch on the chain 2 space on the other piece, slip stitch it together, and I'm going to tie that off. Clip my yarn. Now, we can unfold our piece and see what it starts to look like. There we go. I wish I had more room for you, but I don't. So I have already, like I said previously, sewed up one portion. So, as you can see, it's sewed all the way across there and all the way across there. Now, I'm going to sew all the way down here and all the way down there. And then the sewing will be done, and then I'll have to put a border on it. But, so again, what I'm going to do to sew this up is the same way as I sewed it up a while ago. I'm just going to make sure everything is flipped. These are flipped the wrong side out. And then I will start right over here and the same way and sew it all the way up. And then I will do the same thing. Once that's sewed up, you'll be able to flip this side over. Sew this one all the way up, and then that'll be all the sewing that needs to be done. All right, I'll show you what mine looks like. It's not the prettiest thing yet. As you can see, some of this, you know, it's not perfect. It's not perfect. We're going to go around it and try to clean up these edges the best that we can, but it's all sewn up. You know, when it comes to crochet, sewing granny squares together is my least favorite thing. I mean, I'd rather sew in a million tails than sew granny squares together. But I did it. It's done. So, now let's border it. Now, I'm going to use a single crochet. First, I'm going to go around it in my main color, which is white. And then I'm going to use these leftover pieces and go around it just to add some contrast to it. The leftover pieces from my Sesame Street people. So let me get this folded up in a way here so I can get my camera set up. Okay, so first I'm going to start with my white, and I'm going to start in the corner of one of my squares. And I am going to chain 1, and I'm going to put 2 single crochets into this first corner stitch. Like that. And now I'm going to work 1 single crochet in every stitch across this first square, all the way across until we get here to where these 2 squares meet and there's a bit of a divot. We'll have to try to even that out at the best that we can. So what I'm going to do, like I said, is just work 1 single crochet in every stitch until I get to where my next two squares are joined. Alright, so I've made it here to the divot here where my 2 squares meet up. I'm going to try to crochet these tails in as I go too, so I don't have so many to hide. So you see this chain 2 space? I'm going to work 2 half double crochets into that first chain 2 space, half doubles. And then I'm going to jump to the next chain 2 space of the next square and work 2 half doubles into that spot. Like that. And now I will continue working 1 single crochet in every stitch across my little Oscar square until I get to where my next 2 squares meet up. And I'll do the same thing. 2 half doubles there into the chain 2 spaces. And it kind of straightened it out a bit. You know, it made it look a little cleaner. In my opinion, I think that looks a little bit, you know, it looks better. So I'm going to work across 1 single crochet in every stitch again until I get to where my next 2 squares meet up. Alright, I have made it to where my next two squares meet up. So here's the chain 2 spaces. I'm going to do 2 half double crochets into the first chain space on this piece, and then I'm going to jump over here to the next chain 2 space of the next piece or the next square and work 2 half double crochets into that one. Kind of straighten them out a bit. And now I'll continue working 1 single crochet in every stitch until I get, let's see, over here to the next chain 2 space, which will be the corner of our blanket. So by doing those half doubles in the corners there, like I said, it straightens out a bit. It's not perfect, but it won't be. It's homemade. No one expects perfection. If they wanted that, they'd buy it from a store. And even then, it probably wouldn't be perfect. So, go ahead and continue across. 1 single in every stitch until you get to the next chain 2 space. Alright, I've made it to my next chain 2 space, which is the corner of the blanket. So in this corner, I'm going to put 4 single crochets. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that's what we're going to put in every corner. Now we did start the first one out with 2, but we'll end by putting 2 into that one. So it will be a total of 4. But I got 4 in there. And now I'm going to continue. Make sure you pull that back and get this next one, or this stitch right here. Putting 1 single crochet in every stitch until I get to where my next 2 pieces meet. So I'm just going to continue this pattern that we're doing all the way around my whole blanket. So I'll continue 1 single crochet in every stitch across here, and then when I get to these 2 chain 2 spaces, 2 half doubles here, 2 half doubles here, single crochet across, 2 half doubles in this chain 2 space, 2 half doubles in this, single crochet in every stitch across. You get to the corner, 4 single crochets into this corner stitch, and then you continue 1 single crochet in every stitch until you get to here, 2 half doubles here in that chain space, 2 half doubles in that chain space, and we're just going to keep repeating that. So it's 1 single crochet in every stitch, 2 half doubles in each of the chain 2 spaces that the squares meet up, and 4 single crochets in the corners. Alright, I've made it back to my starting point. Now remember, we started with 2 single crochets into that chain 2 space. I'm going to go ahead and end with 2 single crochets into that chain 2 space. So we have a total of 4. And I'm going to end by substitching into my first single crochet. And then I will clip this yarn, tie it off. Now if you want to be done now, you can. I'm going to go around it again one more time with another row of single crochet to use up these scrap pieces that I have left over from my Sesame Street characters, and to give it a little extra color. But otherwise, if you want it to be done, it can be done. So I'm just going to start again in a corner. Doesn't matter which corner. But what I am going to do is, if you're following along with me and you're using the same Sesame Street characters, you see how Cookie Monster's on this side? I'm going to use the scraps from Cookie Monster and go along the side that he's on. And then whenever I get over here to Elmo, I'll use the scraps left from Elmo. Ain't much there, hopefully there's enough. And I'll do his side. And then I'll use the scraps that are left from Oscar, and that's what I'll line his side with. So go ahead and start over here with Grover, or not Grover, Cookie Monster. I'm all messed up on my Sesame Street characters. Okay, so I'm gonna do basically the same thing, except for I'm not gonna be doing any half doubles here. This is gonna be single crochet now. So we put 4 single crochets into the corner. Okay, so why don't we start in the middle? Okay, so there's 4 start in the, if you count over from this side, the third one. So start in that one. So there'll be this one, and then one more in the corner, and then you'll start the ones that are not in the corner. So start in the third one from this side. So 1, 2, 3, and chain 1, and we're going to put 2 single crochets into that single crochet. And the reason why we're going to do that, it just helps the corners lay flatter. 2 singles into that one. And now I'm just going to work along and put 1 single crochet in every single stitch all the way across the this entire side of Cookie Monsters until I get to my other white square, the corner of that. And then we'll kind of do a color switch. And if you want to use, I mean, remember, you don't have to do it. If you want to use a different color to border it in, all one solid color, that's fine. I'm just trying to use up these scraps. That's why I'm doing this. So all the way across, 1 single in every stitch. No more half doubles or anything like that until we get all the way across this one side, and I'll meet back up with you at the next corner, and I'll show you what we're going to do there. All right, I've come and I've made it to my 4 stitches in the corner. Now we're going to work in 2 of them, and then we're going to switch colors. So we'll go into the first one and single crochet 1 time. And we'll go into the next one and we're going to put 2 single crochets into that one. But we're going to switch colors on the second single crochet. So we're getting ready to work down Elmo's side. So I'm going to bring in Elmo's color. Remember, 2 single crochets into this stitch. So I'm going to go into the stitch like I'm going to do a single crochet. Draw up a loop. And then I'm going to drop the blue yarn. Pick up Elmo's color of yarn. And go ahead and pull it through like that. And now I will start with Elmo's color yarn. In the next stitch, I'll put 2 single crochets into that stitch, while I'm trying to wrestle down tails, because there's so many. Okay, so 2 single crochets in that corner stitch, and now there's 1 more corner stitch left. It just gets 1 single crochet. So the corner stitches where there's 4 gets 1 single crochet in the first one, 2 in the next, 2 in the next, then 1 in the last. If that makes sense. That just helps the corner lay flat. Now I'm going to continue with this color all the way across until I get to my next corner. And then I'm going to switch colors the same way. Remember, you don't have to do it this way. You can just do 1 solid color. I might even run out of this color of yarn and I'll have to substitute, but that's okay. I'll figure something out. But I'm going to continue across until I get to my next color, or my next corner, and we'll switch colors again. Alright, I've made it to the corner again. My next color that I need to switch to is my Oscar color green. So, I'm at my 4 corners, my 4 stitches in the corner. I'm going to single crochet 1 time into the first one, 2 times into the next one, but we're going to switch colors. So there's 1, and now I'm going in the same stitch and doing another single crochet, but I'm going to switch colors here. So I'm going to go in and draw up the loop, drop my Elmo color, grab my Oscar color, and pull it through like that, and start with my Oscar color into the next stitch. Again, while I'm trying to hide all these tails and whatnot. Oh my God. Okay. I get it. I get it. Okay. Now I need to go into the next single crochet and put 2 single crochets in it. And then the next one, the last one in the corner, and put 1 single crochet. So remember, the 4 corners gets, or the 4 single crochets in the corner get 1 single crochet in the first one, 2 in the next, 2 in the next, and then 1 in the last, just to keep the corners flat. Now I'm going to continue this process again, 1 single crochet in every stitch until I make it back to my next corner. And then I'll switch colors again in the same manner, my last color, and then I'll continue 1 single crochet in every stitch until I get back to my starting point, and then I will meet you back up at the starting where we started doing this. Alright, I have made it to the end, and I've made it to my last 2 stitches. They're the 2 that are in the corner. So my first one gets 1 single crochet. My last one gets 2 single crochets. And I'm going to end this round by slip stitching into my first single crochet over here. And then I am going to clip that off. It's finished, it's finished, it's finished. Hey, it's finished. Well, not quite yet. I got a lot of tails to hide. But other than that, it's finished. Let's check it out. See what she looks like. It's kind of big, but big for my table, I mean, but I'll have to move my camera. I'll move my camera. There it is. Oh, it really turned out cute. I like it. Now this is another time I suggested earlier, if you wanted to block your squares before you sew them together, that would have been a good time. This is another time, if you are one that blocks your work, you can block it. I don't block, I don't worry about it. Evelyn's going to take it and waller it all around my daughter in bed with it anyways, so blocking serves me no purpose, but that's it. I really like it. I think it turned out awesome. I hope you guys like it too. If you like it, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up, and I hope you guys are able to follow along okay. And if you make this, even if you don't make it with Sesame Street ones, say you just use this design in different color squares or all the same squares, show me a picture. You can show me a picture on my Facebook page or my Instagram. Both those links are below in the description box. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Thanks everybody for watching. Bye-bye.